Hi everyone, welcome to day 15 of my cloud computing series. So today we are going to learn these topics. First is Route 53, second Route 53 record types, third Route 53 hosted zone, third after that Route 53 routing policies, after that health checks, after that route policing, after that S3, S3 is the main, and after that there is a S3 buckets. After that we are going to learn Amazon S3 security, S3 versioning, S3 replications, S3 storage classes, lifecycle rules, and S3 event notifications. So today we are going to learn these all topics. So I'm going to my notes. So if you see what is Route 53, it's like a your domain name system on AWS. AWS scalable and highly available domain name system. It's a domain. So if you know about GoDaddy and all, so they provide you a domain name system. So I don't want to explain what is domain because in previous my video you can see in computer networks you can see what is domain name system. I have explained very in detail, so you can go through that lecture and you can learn. So, so DNS is nothing but domain name system. So Route 53, it's AWS service. In that AWS provide domain name system to you. Okay, provides domain registration, DNS management, and health checkings. It's also checking health checkings like your server is like your website is running or not. It's sending health checks and checking is running properly or not. So there is health checking also is there in Route 53 domain name system. The only AWS service which provides 100% availability SAL service level agreement. Route 53. Okay. Route S3 records how you connect to route traffic for a domain. You can use this. Okay. Each records contains domain, subdomain, name, example.com, route type. We are going to learn route types also. So A or AA triple for AA, and value example this like this. Routing policy, now Route 53 response to queries. TTL, amount of time the record cached at DNS resolver. Okay, so we are going to learn this Route 53 record types. So first is A, address record. So it's like map some domain name to an IPv4 address. It's a IPv4 address. Example.com. And if you write example.com, if you search Amazon, so in that background it's running like that. This IP address, IPv4 IP address. Okay, and if you see this IP 4 times A record, so it's what's maps a domain name to an IPv6. It's used for IPv6 and a IPv4. Okay, so if you see example.com, so in the background it's this IP address is running like that. Okay, and there is a CNAME. uh, CNAME is like record alias or for another domain name. It's maps a domain name to another domain name. Example, subdomain to main domain. If you see, what can I say, www.com, example.com. So in that it you can also write example.com. So it's like that, it's in background it's like example.com. The target is a domain in name which must have a or AA record. Okay, can't create a CNAME record for the top node of a uh, DNS namespace. We can't. Okay, example, you can't create for example.com, but you can create www.example.com. Now you understand, we can't create example.com. Why? Because this is a subdomain, this is a main domain, and we can't create from that subdomain like that. So we have to take care of that. So there is a email exchange, MX record. So specify mail server for a mail routing and to priority for each server. So if you example.com like this, so it will go to that mail server. Okay, TXT record, store array text data often used for SPF records. sender policy framework, domain ownership verification or other metadata. If you use this, so you have to like you can use the example, you can learn this. Then SRV, service records, specify the location of service such as messaging server or for a domain, example SIP top example.com. In backend it's like running like that. Okay, so NS, name server records, specify authority have same authority name servers for a domain, example example.com. NSL, it's like a government or authorized like that, so it's that, like that. Alias record, similar to name record, but can be used at the apex of domains, example.com, rather than www.com, example, often for a service like Amazon CloudFront S3, like example you can see. Now we are going to learn Route 53 hosted zone. Route 53 hosted zone, what is? A container or for a record that define how to route traffic to a domain and its subdomains. Like how to traffic to a domain and subdomain. It's a hosted Route 53 hosted. So there are types also. Public hosted zone for domains accessible on the public and interact, example anyone can interact or access that website, like that. Private, it's like for your company or your internal only, or your government authorized, it's like a private. So not everybody can access that. So if you see private hosted zone for a domain accessible only within a specific Amazon VPS only. Okay, you can pay 0.4 per month per hosted zone. Okay, you have to pay this. And TTL defines how long DNS records are cached by clients. Okay, high TTL, example 24 hours. And if you read, you will understand. Route 53 routing policy, there are simple single static IP address or domain. It's a default whenever you're creating any uh, routing policy and all, so it will be a default. Typically route traffic to of a single process, can specify multi values in the same record. If multiple values are written or random one chosen by the client, when alias enable, specify only one AWS resources can be associated with health checks. So we can associate or attach health checks also. If this is single and multiple, you will understand this is single. Your client is doing like searching, and after that it will return like that. So it's a single value. And if you see multiple value, if you search like that, so it will give like that. So client has choose a random value, so he can choose a random value in that three options. Then weighted like a distributed traffic based on assigned weights. Weighted, it's like we are distributing up according to the weight of a specific record, or control the percentage of the request that go to the lead specific resources, assign each record to relative. So the traffic for a specific record, sum of all the weights for all records. Weight don't need to be sum up to 100. DNS record must have the same name and type. Okay, so DNS and the uh, type also have the same name, can be associated with health checks also. If you see this diagram, you will understand. If all records have weighted of 0, then all records will be written equally. So it will be like giving a weight, based on that traffic will be going to there, like that, percentage wise also. Okay, latency routing directs users to the lowest latency AWS region. Who- whose server has lower latency, then the routing will be then the traffic go to that server, like that. So low latency based on traffic between users and AWS region. Pakistan user may be directed to the India, because in Pakistan there is no AWS data center. So for that, for Pakistan, India is the India data center is the closest, clo- close. So that's why Pakistani, if they are accessing any of like data application, and that store in database, because it's uh, close to India database. That's why it's based on latency. Pakistan access India database centers. Okay, and we can associate health checks. Health check is nothing but checks are only for public resources. It's only public resources continuously monitoring application and endpoints. What is endpoints? I'm not going to say that. You have to understand. Routing policy, if you see routing policies have routing policies like traffic of to a secondary endpoint if the primary rules fails. If primary rules fails, then traffic policy is come in the pictures. Works in a combination with route 53 s3 health plus route 53 health checks. It's a combination of works combination of route 53 health also useful for disaster recovery strategy. So like if you see now fourth, geolocation routing, route based on users physical location, different from latency. Uh, if you see different from latency based, it is different from latency based because in latency based on the latency low latency the user uh, connect to that database, but in that it is different because why specify location by the content or country or by the US state. If there is a overlapping must trace location selected should create a default record. So what I can say, if you see right now in India, Pakistani dramas is banned. So why? Because of the war situation happened, but it's limited to our country only. We can't access Pakistani dramas. So in that way, it is the opposite side. Like all default or UK, we can access UK particular data center, and all of that we can't access like that. It's like it's saying like that. Okay, and if you see geo complexity, route based on the location with bias control, like if a bias control like to resource based on the geography location of a user and resources, ability to shift more traffic to a resource based on the bias. If this data center has more bias, then this also shift here also. So this is like that. And last, if you see in this diagram you will understand this is has low more bias. That's why this user also connected to this data center. That's why. So that this is what can I say, geo proximity routing system. So this is the we can see in AWS console, so you will understand this all. IP based routing, so route traffic based on specific IP address range. So in the specific like a routing is based on client IP address, you provide a list CDR for your client and the corresponding endpoints location. Example, route end user from a particular ISP to a specific endpoints. So we can specify that based on the IP address. Multi-value routing, it returns multi health and endpoints similar to load balancing but at DNS level. Similar to load balancing, what it's distributed by traffic and all, and it's similar to, and it's working at the DNS level. Okay, can be associated with health checks up to 8 health records and return each list. So you can read this. Now we come to S3. S3 is like a simple storage service and is popular of AWS service. Is an object storage service. It is advertised as an infinite scaling storage. Infinite is scaling storage. It also advertised like that. Used for storing, retrieving, and managing large amount of data. If you have large amount of data, you can store, and it is the cheapest service of storing in AWS. So it supports different storage classes for cost optimization. If you see file storage in object storage, so it's like a one single block of file, and this metadata is attached to like that. But if you see in file storage in block storage, so there is like a, this is your file, and it's like metadata is also stored in there. So and a part divided into like that. But so this is a block storage and this is object storage. Files can be from 0 to bytes to 1 for to 5 TB also. Okay, so S3 buckets allows people to store objects. What's objects? Like these objects. Okay, single objects, and you can store your metadata and everything. Objects, files in a buckets or directory also. Okay, you can store in S3. Buckets must have a globally unique name. It's have to be a globally unique name across all region, all accounts, across all region. That particular buckets have a unique name. Okay, buckets are defined at the region level. It is also defined as a region level. And S3 looks like a global service, but buckets are created in a region. S3 is a global. If you see, S3 is a global service, looks like a global service, but when you're going to create bucket, then you have to you have to create in a specific region only, and it is only for that particular region only, that bucket. So a name convention, you have to read this: no uppercase, no underscores, 300 characters like that, not an IP address, must start with lowercase, like, so you can read, then you will understand. Then if you see Amazon S3 security, so based user based IAM policy, which API calls should be allowed for a specific user from IAM. Okay, like there is a user based, like if IAM policy has have given that access, then that user can access. User base is like it's a bucket policy, bucket wide rules from the S3 console allows controls. You can attach policies to resources or bucket policy. Through that we can control the access and all. Bucket objects, like object accessing control list, ACL, you can read this. Note: principal can access in an S3 account. And if you three, what is versioning? Versioning is also like a best concept. If you see, allows you to keep multiple versions of an object in the same bucket. If what is versioning is like, if versioning is disabled, assume that, so what will happen, your file name is like f1 text, and you have created hello world, and after sometimes you have edited some word. Okay, you have edited, and what will happen, that file name is for f1, but what will happen, dot text, but the content is changed, and it's like overwriting, it's overwrite that for that file has like original content, or what can say, that file content has override. So to avoid this, there is a you have to versioning enable. If versioning enable, what will happen, it will create a file 1, file 2 only, but what will happen, there is a version id also add, and in that what will happen, it's like a original updated like that. So if you updated a content, then also it will create a version and version id. So if you click that version also, like version 2 file doc text, so you will get past code or content, and you will see updated also. So this is the beauty of versioning. New version file is created, old version is remains. Okay, old version of also remains, it's not going to overwrite. Version is disabled, deleted, then restoring a file not be possible. If your version is not, like if you are creating a bucket and or a file, so what will happen if you not versioning that, so what will happen if you delete that bucket or bucket, so what will happen, you can't restore that. But if you, there is a versioning enabled, so it we can store that file. Okay, so this is the beauty of versioning. So there is a Amazon S3 replication automatically copies object from a S3 to another, must be enable versioning. So for this you have to must be enabling versioning in source and destination buckets. So there is a cross region multiplication, replication, same region replications. So these are the two types. Buckets can be in different AWS accounts, and copying in a asynchronous must be a proper, if you have a versioning, you can like copy your uh, bucket to another region also. So this is the beauty of all these things. So Amazon giving so much services, you can utilize to build your best application. So S3 has storage classes also. Based on your requirement, you can take that. So you have to pay that also based on your requirement, and pay how much you need that type of. So I'm not going to explain this all types. You can go through this, you will understand, or if you Google it, you will understand how what is the types of S3 buckets and all, S3 storage and all. So if you see, Life cycle rules is like automates object transmission between storage classes to optimize cost. It's optimizing cost for infrequently accessed object, move them to standard IO. Like it's that bucket is not accessing, that file is not accessing. So if we are configuring some, like in lifecycle we are configuring, like if this type of period this not accessing, so you have to move to this type of there is a archived in what can say storage uh, glacier storage classes, no yeah, glacier flexible storage. So we can that file will go to this retrieval, so you can pay less. So we can configure in lifecycle rules, so that if that is file is not configured, that object is not access too much or not accessing. So what will you do, based on your configure, you will shift that to that glacier storage type. Okay. S3 requester pay. In general buckets, ownership pay for all S3 and data transfer cost associated with their bucket. With requester pays bucket, the requester instead of the bucket owners, the cost of the requester and the data downloaded from the bucket. So in that, what S3 requester pay, in that user have to pay whatever they are requesting, because there is a type of S3 storage. Based on that, if you are accessing to from retrieving, it takes time because of in which they are. So based on based on that application and all, so what will happen, Amazon will charge from users, not S3 owner bucket. Okay. So if you see requester pay bucket like that, so you will understand. So there is a S3 event notification trigger action based on event in a S3 bucket, supports notification for object created, deleted or modified. We can configure, can be integrated. There is a types of SNS, SQS and AWS Lambda. Through this you can notify this deleted or not SNS and SQS. So we are going to learn afterwards. So this is also good concepts. S3 performance optimizing, and also yeah, we have completed all these topics. I'm just going through what is S3 and all. So if you see this route 53, so if you see route 53, you can just give a domain insensitive. You have to, if you are deploying your app and you want a DNS, so you have to pay. So you have to pay, and you are just uploading for your resume for that project. So I'm recommending you not to take a only one domain, and deploy your one project. And whenever you are going to apply, just show that I have like by this routing system and all. So if you see, there is a health checks hosted zone. If I click hosted zone, traffic policy, record policy, registered domains. So this is all that. So yeah, we have to create it then like that. So I'm not going to explain all these things because the video has 24 minutes, so I'm not going to. So we are going to learn tomorrow new topics. Till that time, bye.